Oh no! And I knew as soon as I saw that ugly ass bird on my screen, I'm going, what the hell did we just do? Huh? What's going on, man?
Son, how you doing?
Welcome to the new look Washington Commanders. We've officially entered the Josh Harris era as of today.
That's awesome. Adam Peters and Josh Harris era, huh?
Yes.
A little bit
Yeah,
of
it's
Dan
a
Quinn sprinkled in.
little bit of Dan Quinn just on the top there, like some Parmesan. We don't do a little bit of Parmesan in this household, though. We always do plenty.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think this is really the for everybody who was calling in to the radio shows and commenting on our pods that Josh Harris hasn't done anything and nothing's changed and whatever last year. Here it is. Here's the change. Here's the new general manager. Here's the new administration. We knew last year was kind of a lame duck year, and we're into this year. And if I told you 2 years ago that in 2024 you'd have a brand new quarterback, a brand new head coach, a brand new general manager, and a brand new owner, I'm pretty sure back when Taylor Heinicke was at the helm, you would have taken that deal, Pop. Correct me if I'm
without a
wrong.
doubt.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Back when Taylor Heinicke and Ron Rivera were running the show. But here we are. It's the new look Commanders, and I mean, we can't lead this thing off with anything other than a little bit of Jayden Daniels talk. Pop, how you feeling about JD?
Yeah, I know. We had our post first round draft pick pod, and we, definitely, if you hadn't heard that yet, go back, check that out. That's the full blown Jaden Daniels reaction. But I mean, I feel great about it, right?
Yeah,
We talked about it before. I think he's Joe Cool, reincarnated. Some people saying, uh, Lamar 2.0 seems to be the popular um, sentiment, although I think he's a better passer at this stage of his career
yeah.
than Lamar was. I won't get into the debate. We'll have to see
Probably
him
doesn't
play.
move.
We
Probably
have
doesn't move as well as Lamar.
no, probably
To
doesn't.
be
It's
fair.
not a good, you know. But I think it's I talked about it last pod. He's the guy I wanted personally. I called it from pretty much when we started talking about this that I
Yeah,
wanted Jayden, and I know you came to that conclusion through your evaluation, of things as well. And I'm super excited about it. I'm listening to all the interviews that I could absorb of him, all the different things, and he's just saying all the right things. He's a worker. Hearing of him, organizing workouts at 5:30 in the morning, at LSU is incredible, and
yeah,
trying to inspire people to come out, that type of leadership, that type of work, and how he's answering all the questions. Right? He's like, I don't have the job yet. I don't even know the playbook. So
yep,
setting expectations right now is wrong, and he seems really willing and to go out there and earn it. This just in general, everything that you described at the beginning with ownership and the GM and the players were starting to assemble, it just feels different. It feels like this is the start of something really special. And maybe we've talked a little bit about that in the past, not in this podcast history. We haven't gotten there yet. But I think it's what makes it different is the fact that there is a new administration, there is a new ownership group, and there is a general manager, a real general manager in place for the first time since the late 90s,
yeah, yeah. That's what's pretty exciting about it,
before
and I
you were
think
born, well before you were born.
I think the overall vibe for me is just excitement about all of this because when I texted a few buddies about it and I texted some people that were a couple of just like my NFL friends. I have some friends that work in the league and then a couple friends that just, Commanders fans lifelong like myself. And what I said to both of them was, hey, might not work out with Quinn, might not work out with Daniels, might not work out with Kingsbury, whatever you may be. But this guy, Peters, is building this roster and building this program in such a way that if in 2 or 3 years we come up for air and we go, Quinn's not the guy, or, Daniels just never really lived up to what we thought. We are still going to be in a significantly better position, and we are going to continue to build this roster, and it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be without misses. It might not go out of the park on the first shot, but you can see from that draft strategy, you can see from what he did and the way he's building this team, it's a clear, concise, focused vision that I'm super, super excited about from Peters. Will it be the right vision? Like I said in the last pod, time will tell. But after seeing the picks and looking down the draft board and seeing the way he moved this time, say, yeah, this is clearly the guy that was the top voice of the brain trust in San Francisco, which is the best built roster in the league. I mean, San Francisco right now is having such a problem because they drafted so much talent, they can't afford to pay all of it.
Well, you added 9 players, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you accumulated enough draft capital, and he continued to, look at ways of maybe not necessarily adding picks, but adding value. More value picks. And we'll get into that when we break down the draft. But and I think it's important to remember that we've loved almost every draft the Commanders have had over the last few years. You get hyped about these guys. You think about that it's going to be good. We were pretty excited a couple of years ago when they traded back and picked up all those guys and thought that was the greatest move. Yet it really hasn't panned out in results. So you can't really judge a draft until um, a couple 2-3 years down the road. But as we get in there and we break down these picks, which you can't wait for Dominic to do, I think you start to realize, though, the logic behind how the picks were made and the value that they were made, where this feels different, right?
yeah, and that's what I'm getting at is that
Yeah.
the drafts previously, I don't know. I'd have to go back and watch the pod from last year. I don't remember us being. We got ourselves hyped up for Forbes because Fred Smoot was yelling, but I remember being livid when that pick was made and coming on here and being livid. And there were years and
You end
years.
up talking yourself into it a little
You
bit. Like,
talk yourself into it
yeah,
because you're a
yeah,
fan, right? But that first instinct was WTF for
yeah,
years. And this year is the first year. I had a moment of that, which we'll get into. I had a moment of that
yeah.
in this draft, but I was quickly reassured. And this is the first year where you go, okay, I see what they're doing. I get it. It makes sense. And this is not we need a linebacker, so we draft a linebacker. This is not we need a tackle, so we draft a tackle. This is, you can see, they did not repeat a single position the entire way down the board. They went best player available the entire draft, which I tweeted about it when they made the pick for Newton. Um, the team was 4-13. This is the worst
Yeah.
ranked defense in the NFL. This is a terrible offense. There's not a single player on this roster that should not be looking over their shoulder right now. And when you find a player in the second round that you had in your top 15 and you thought you might have to trade up to get, and he falls into your lap, run that pickup, sprint to
Well,
the
let's
board. So
let's
let's
get
get
into
into
it.
it, right? Yeah,
Let's get into it. I can't wait.
yeah. I thought we had a
I
little
think I
segue
know.
there, but
Yeah, that's an awesome segue.
so
Awesome segue.
we got obviously Jayden Daniels number 2. We've talked about it at length. I didn't give too much of my JD opinions on this pod, but I just keep getting more and more excited about him. I think
Yeah.
I just pray he can stay healthy. That's all I'm concerned about, and I'm ready to just watch him play. I just can't wait. I'm very excited, and to the point where, like, what's messed up? I'm almost like a little bit sad because I'm
Right.
like, man, I got something to lose now. I got something to lose. Like, there's real chance of me getting disappointed, which is, I haven't really experienced that. I certainly wasn't in that headspace going into last year. But yeah, JD number 2, great pick. Everybody's happy with that. Last thing I'll say, more teams had him ranked as their quarterback 1 than had him ranked as their quarterback 3. So while the fans and a lot of us, and that's how I started to come around to him as well, John Keim talked about it, and he followed that same mark that I did.
Right.
Started out really high on May, going, wait, if you could develop this kid, he's going to be a top 2 guy. He's going to be special. And then once you hear more and more about what people in the league are talking about, just the overwhelming consensus on Daniels, you go, well, these guys do it for a living. I'm just a YouTuber. I think they probably got it figured out, right?
You're more than a
Uh,
YouTuber.
but thank you. But so that's JD at number 2. The second round pick 36. You're going into the second round. You go, we got picks 36 and 40. And my plan was watch picks 36, watch pick 40, get in the car, go see my girlfriend. That's the end of the night. I'll read about the round 3 picks on Twitter. I'm not that hardcore. I'm sorry. But that goes a little sideways. So pick 33, Jer'Zhan Newton. He goes by Johnny Newton, I believe. Jer'Zhan's a government name that's up in front of us here. Jer'Zhan Newton. He is a stud tackle. A lot of people had him as the best interior lineman in the draft. Some people had him as the best defensive lineman in the draft, period. He is a stud. He's a complete disruptor. He's I mean, all things go according to plan. It's going to be our Chris Jones, right?
Right.
He's just a baller. He's just a baller on the inside. And you look at the reaction to a lot of that online, people were like, huh? That
Yeah.
was the first head scratcher of the draft. But that, in my opinion, that set the tone for what we're going to do. After that pick, I said, oh, they're not worried about need because there's need up and down the roster. They're worried about adding people that are going to, I can't think of a phrase that's not too explicit right now, but that are going to disrupt and going to play the game they want to play it, which is violent, fast, and disruptive. So, Pop, what was your
Yeah.
reaction? You were on the golf course, right?
Not during. Maybe at the beginning. Yeah, had a bit of a golf weekend with the boys. A little sore here. Pop played 54 holes. Never done that before in
It's
three
impressive.
straight days. Did a little live touring this weekend, but
There it is.
no, I agree. Like at first, it was a head scratcher. We were all thinking tackle, maybe cornerback at this pick. But
Yeah.
again, it goes to show there's a right way to do things and the way that we've been conditioned as a fan base, right? Where I think sometimes what the fan base thought shaped what the front office did a little too much, right? And I think when you've got the opportunity to get a talented player like that, you had rated, using your reporting in the top 15, an All American, first team All American, top talent by all accounts. To say that we're set at D tackle, were the results at D tackle really that great last year? The names are buzzworthy,
That's what I tweeted.
first round picks, but the results weren't that great. And to get that level of value for a guy that, what about 2 years down the road? And to reach it for offensive tackle at that point, to reach for it when you can get somebody that you had rated this high wouldn't have made sense. So it's a great pick. Um, and I'm excited about it. I've already been reading a little bit about how they might, you know, utilize the defensive line. They might play some 3-4 where John Allen could easily, push out the defensive end and maybe, so they'll have a mix of 3-4 and 4-3 in there with the different guys they've picked up in free agency as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, at the end of the day, watching the replays, I love the pick.
And this is where I say it set the tone because
Yep.
you have Deron Payne and John Allen, right? You have the most expensive defensive tackle duo in the NFL as of last year. Now, John Allen doesn't have any guaranteed money left on his deal at this point, but last year we spent number 1 on defensive tackle in the league. No team spent more money there than we did, and we ranked 32 as a defense. So no team was worse than us on defense. And this year, John Allen, no guaranteed money left on his deal. I'm going to guess and say there might not be a restructure. I don't know. But now you're looking 2 years down the line. John Allen's got 3 years left on his deal, I believe. You're looking 2 years down the line. This kid, at least right now, can rotate. And Allen and Payne were playing over 80% of snaps. And Allen was nursing an injury all year last year. Allen ain't getting any younger, and Allen ain't getting any healthier, right? And he
Yep.
had a down year.
Yep.
So Newton can come in right away, relieve that so we can only get the best out of Allen, keep him fresh, only get the best out of Payne, keep him fresh. We can run when we want to run that Cinco front. I don't know if that's going to be as much of a thing under this system. It was a thing we liked last year, but it just allows us that mobility to move forward. And now, 2 years from now, maybe we trade Allen. Maybe Allen's a cut candidate if he doesn't perform well again next year. And we already have the plan in place. We already have the plan in place. That's what I like about that. So, 3 picks later, it's pick 40. And I'm going, oh man, Kool-Aid is still on the board. Cooper DeJean is still on the board. Time to rock, right? Time to shore up
Cornerbacks,
that secondary.
cornerback, right? They're both
Cornerback,
cornerbacks.
yeah,
Yeah,
both cornerbacks. It's quarterback time, and that's where I would have went at 36. Honestly, I was gonna go DeJean or Kool Aid, and I was ready to pull a Rivera, frankly, and take DeJean at 36, and then if Kool Aid's there again at 40, take Kool Aid because DeJean plays all over the secondary. But that's why I'm not a general manager. And at pick 40, all of a sudden, trade, and I go with who? The Eagles. Oh no! And I knew as soon as I saw that ugly ass bird on my screen, I knew Cooper DeJean was going to the Eagles, and then the Saints trade up to 41, take Kool Aid, and I'm going, what the hell did we just do? We just gave maybe the best corner in the draft, one of the best corners in the draft, to our division rival. We got to play him twice a year, but then you look at the return. You got the you got we traded 40, 78, and 152. And in return, we got 50, 53, and 161. Now, Pop, I'm not great at math, but that's 3 second-round picks. Am I correct?
that's right.
And we won how many games last year? 4?
Yeah,
So we only had one more win than we did second-round pick, which is exactly where we should be because we need to overhaul the entire roster. So we get the picks, we trade back, and who do we pick at pick number 50? Mike Sanistro. Stud nickel corner. You know what? I'm not even going to give you the read out of Michigan. I'm just going to tell you what Nick Saban said. Pound for pound might be the best football player in this draft. Pop, I'm passing the mic to you.
yeah. Seems like a great pick. I mean, I'd be lying if I said I got scouting reports on any of these guys, but it seems like again, in trusting the process, they traded back, which originally, similar to second round pick, kind of had shock value to it, especially trading with your division rival. You're giving up what seems to be a really good player. But maybe you knew by being able to read the draft that you're going to get a guy you liked even better later in the round, but also pick up an extra pick. So, I think, you know, I've got no problem with it. I love the player from everything we're hearing about Sanistrel. And it seemed like a recurring theme in terms of the type of player that we're trying to get.
Yep,
Guys that I don't know whether he was a team captain, but
he
guys were
was.
team captains, leaders, and like you said, played with a lot of aggression. So
Yep.
yeah,
And he can play safety or nickel corner, and he is just so damn effective. He's a really good football player. So I'm really excited about that pick there. And another thing that was kind of a common theme is athleticism. They're drafting guys. If you look at those, you see those graphics on Twitter with like the RAS scores where they score the guys based on the field and how they look in terms of the way they scored at the combine. They use like their measurables and the 3 cone drills and a bunch of stuff that's way over my head. But all these guys are high level athletes. That seems to be what they're looking for. They're looking for high level athletes that have had success on their teams, been integral parts of the teams before, and are leaders. That's what they're looking for. And they had a tag for these guys. They said the commander tag is what they were going through. So they were going through, and as they're going through, guys are saying this guy's a commander, this guy's a commander, this guy's a commander, and that was to just follow up on the philosophy in which they're selecting these guys. So we're going to start going a little bit faster here. because we got the rest, but I did want to spend a little bit more time on that trade and on those first couple picks. And then to end the second round, got ourselves a tight end. Ben Sinnott. I don't know how to say it yet. I believe he came out of Kansas. And he, for all accounts, looks to be a solid tight end, relatively athletic, surprising amount of twitch for his
Versatile
size.
guy, can play fullback,
Yeah,
tight end, seems to be a really good blocker.
yeah. So it looks like they're kind of looking to bring over a little bit more of that, like Kyle Juszczyk esque role from San Francisco, is what I'm seeing. But who knows how he's going to develop as a pass catcher? Supposedly has pretty good hands. Is a good tight end. I know a couple guys that had him as their TE1. Well, TE2, other than Brock Bowers, but he's a stud. And then you're looking at Brandon Coleman,
Finally
pick
got
number.
an offensive line.
So finally hit the offensive line there. But Pop made a great point earlier. A lot of the guys that we thought were going to be there in round two were not there. They were drafted late in round one. So instead of reaching for a tackle that you said is not worth it, you waited and you went and got a guard in Brandon Coleman, who again, team captain, big dude, pretty athletic, can play guard, can play tackle. He's listed here as a guard, but from what Peters has said, I think they like him as a tackle.
Yeah,
So
they say that when you look at his measurables, I'll just leave it at that. I guess it's speed,
yeah,
size, all those things that he measures out very favorable as a tackle. And he played in a lot more games as a tackle than guard. But we'll see. I kind of look at third round offensive linemen as projects. And
yeah,
yeah, people can break the mold, but that's still an area that concerns me for sure. But I also think that I'm cool with the process, but whether or not we can really count on a player like this to be a contributor in year one, I've got to see it. It's a bit of a reach.
yeah. I think you're gonna see how it goes at camp. I think there's still a hole at that left guard spot. So if they fill the left guard spot instead of the left tackle spot, I'm okay with that too. And you got to keep in mind our left tackle from the last few years, Charles Leno, he was signed after the draft. So there is going to be some movement around there. But Brandon Coleman, that's the pick there, pick 67 in the pick
You
100.
you don't believe in our Pazan Nick Allegretti? You calling it a hole, the left guard spot? Keep
I
going,
don't,
keep
yeah,
going. It was
there's
just a
still a
little
hole
zing.
in the guard. I'm certainly not as confident in him as I am Sam Cosmi. But pick
That's fair.
number 100. This is maybe this is a Chase Young pick. I don't know. Pick number 100, the last pick of the third round.
I
Luke
think it was
McCaffrey.
a Chase Young pick.
Look at that! What a pull from the kid. Luke McCaffrey, Christian McCaffrey's brother. I guess Christian had kind of been on the phone with AP, kind of jokingly, and been like, "Man, you got it," because obviously them two have a relationship. AP brought Christian to San Francisco. He's kind of said, "You got to draft Luke, draft Luke, draft Luke." Luke was a quarterback, then he was a running back, and now he's a wide receiver. I love this pick. Pop.
I know you love this one. Yeah, no, I mean, it
Um,
seems like, there's talk of him already competing and being the starter in the slot. We lost Curtis Samuel, so we need someone there. Has really good speed, really good size, almost 6'2",
yeah,
according to AP, even though he's listed as 6'1". I watched his highlight reel, got great hands. I mean, obviously, it's easy to think that Christian McCaffrey's brother is going to be, you know, really good. We'll see. But yeah, I love it from what I've seen. Could
yeah,
be a really good player for us. You know, um, yeah, be fun to watch.
yeah. I mean, he doesn't have absolute like blow by you speed, but great route runner from what I've seen. Very technical route runner. I actually think he's going to start on the outside because of his size opposite Terry, and I think Jahan will probably be more of a slot situation here. I think that's
Maybe
how
they
you.
can mix them up.
Yeah, I think he also gives you options as a punt returner, as a kick returner. You know the McCaffreys, they're high level guys, high character guys. You know the family he comes from. You should expect to see an impact from Luke, I think, here. Go through the day three guys kind of quickly here. Linebacker Jordan McGee out of Temple. I said it. I think he's this administration's Khalil Hudson. He's kind of athletic dude. Probably will start off as a special teamer with the linebacking group that we have now, but maybe a good developmental project with Bobby Wagner only being on a 1 year deal, Jamin Davis maybe on his way out the door. Good developmental project for these next that maybe can make an impact not this year but the year after. And then you've got safety Dominique Hampton out of Washington and edge Javante John Baptiste with the last pick. Don't expect huge contributions from either of these guys. Honestly, rounds 5 and round 7, you're kind of throwing darts at that point. You're trying to fill out backups. Um, but we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Overall, stoked. Stoked with this draft. Really like it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy about it. So do you want to breeze through draft grades here, Pop? You got a letter grade you want to put on this thing?
Yeah, I think we could just nail it. I mean, I think at the end of the day, like I said, it's going to take time to grade out a draft. But the fact that we've
Yeah.
accumulated 9 picks and we seem to get a lot of really great value out of picks and address most needs, don't like the fact that we didn't address offensive line as much as we could have. But the trade up never happened. But trusting these guys, trusting the process. I'm gonna go B plus plus, B plus, maybe A
There you
minus,
go.
B plus,
80, 89.
B plus.
89. That's still a B in this house. B plus is still a B
It's still a
here.
B.
I'm going A. I'm going A. I feel pretty confident going
Solid
A
A.
here. A for Adam. I think get used to these A's in the draft room. I'm very excited, and I think take away the Jayden Daniels pick. I think every pick they made, I think could be a contributor. I think is a solid choice. They won't all be. Half these guys will turn out to finish their rookie deals and be out of the league. But I think these are really good. I go A because there's going to be some busts no matter who you are, but I see a very clear vision and I'm in alignment with it.
Yeah,
I'm
and I
all
love
in.
the fact that they've stuck to their guns in terms of the process and the best available approach. But I do feel some level of concern still that you got a right tackle and a left tackle starting, who I think are just real shaky at the moment. And
Yeah,
the fact that they just didn't address only one offensive lineman drafted and they weren't able to really address that. Um, maybe it'll turn out that Coleman's the guy. I'd love to be proven wrong here. That's why I just got to bump it down,
yeah.
just half a letter grade. But how about when you look at this draft real quick because we do got to move to our next segment. Who's your favorite pick of the draft? We've kind of talked about concerns, so let's put that to the side. But what's your favorite pick of this draft, other than JD? JD's our favorite, right? But other than
That's a
JD,
good.
who's your favorite?
That's a good question. I like Luke McCaffrey and I like Mike Sanders still. Those are probably
Yeah,
my two. Those are probably my
I'm
two.
gonna
Who do you
go.
like?
I'm gonna go with the Johnny Newton pick because I just think that was such a great pick at that time that was unexpected. That shows this is the right way to do it. Now you might say, wait a minute, Pop, you're contradicting yourself. You just complain about offensive line situation and you love this pick. Two things can be true at once. I'm still a little bit
Oh, you sound like me.
concerned, a little bit concerned that they weren't able to address that. But at the same time, I understand the process. And maybe they did try to trade up. People were asking for way too much. I get it. I'm going to trust them. But I actually love this pick because of the value you got. And my second honorable mention is actually going to be Ben Sinat. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but I like that versatility. We need help at tight end. And he just, the way they were talking him up, I think he's going to be a guy that could probably step in and start contributing right away. So I'm pretty
Yeah,
optimistic about that pick as well. And, being able to get that third second round pick, as you mentioned, is very great thing as well to address two more positions of need. And tight end was definitely a position of need for these guys. So I like those two.
Yep, and a strong tight end that's a great blocker will help a not so good offensive line. It can chip,
And a
help
good,
out the
really
left
good receiver
tackle.
too. So,
Yep,
yeah, versatile guy.
yep, immediate upgrade, I think, from what we had last year. We actually have a tight end who played tight end in college. It's radical thinking. I know we're used to the converted quarterbacks at tight end. It's radical thinking, but we have a tight end who plays tight end. So that's a good start there. Uh, let's get into the second segment for today, Pop. We're doing a Bada Bets segment for this one, a post draft Bada Bets. How you feeling, Pop?
Feeling good, feeling good. I mean, I think we were going to kick this segment off with a little bit of an overview and a little bit of a vibe check on the roster. So we talk all
Yep,
about the rookies and the new additions. We spent time on free agency. Go back, check those pods. But just a general sense of like when you look at this roster and you look at the depth chart, you look at offensive line. Let's start with offense. You look at offensive line, running back, wide receiver, tight end, you know, what's your thoughts related to that offense and that overall roster construction at this point? You know, did we get better, significantly better than last season? Why do you feel that way? And just some overall thoughts quickly on what you think about that offense as it's constructed now. Biggest holes, areas that excite you the most, those kind of things.
got it. So biggest holes, left tackle, without a doubt,
Yeah,
on offense. Areas that excite me the most right now, quarterback and skill positions. I'm very excited about, I think, when you look at that Luke McCaffrey pick, for example, that's a guy that averaged a touchdown a game. When you look at Austin Eckler, scores a ton of touchdowns. When you look at Brian Robinson, he can get across the goal line too. You look at Zach Ertz, strong veteran presence in the red zone there. You add a tight end. And Terry McLaurin is nothing to sneeze at either. And we saw some great flashes from Jahan Dotson. We don't know where he's going to land in terms of rookie year versus sophomore slump. Where's the truth in that mix, right? We'll see. But I'm very excited about the amount of weapons that we have on offense and the combination of exciting young players with veteran safety blankets, essentially, for Jayden Daniels.
yeah. I think quick comments from me on the offensive side is I think B Rob, uh, Terry and Jahan are three players they like a lot. You know,
Yeah.
and they're three other the carryover guys. I think they clearly like a lot. You can see, yeah, the Luke McCaffrey was a good pick, but you see that they really thought those are three players that were part of the core of this offense. Probably Sam Cosmi, you could throw him in the mix as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think generally you've got a young quarterback and you've got a sketchy plan at offensive tackle that I still think they're going to need to figure something out. That I think they're going to need to add another veteran tackle. Maybe it's another Cornelius Lucas type, so that you at least got two to protect against injury and all of
Yeah.
that. Too much time in the sun this weekend, um,
You and me both.
but but yeah, I mean, I would say that sums up my thing. But what about the defense now? Because the defense, I'll go first here. I think I'm excited about what we've done on this defense. I think the
Yeah,
upgrades we
buddy.
made at linebacker, not only through free agency but in the draft, right? Beefing up that D line here and that, we might be a little bit 3-4. So maybe that, the fact that maybe edge wasn't addressed as much as we would like, maybe is not as big a factor. You could slide John Allen out there, which I do think is going to happen a bit more. And then, some of the additions in the secondary, the guys we're bringing back, some of the guys we got on free agency. I feel pretty good about this defense. I think this defense is going to have the biggest jump of these two units, right? I
Yeah.
mean, they both have a lot of room to grow, but I think this defense is really going to jump up and maybe be a surprising factor this season also in how they're getting coached up.
Yeah, I agree. I think the biggest concern for me on the defense is going to be that secondary.
I
There's a
agree,
lot of young
especially
pieces.
corner.
You lose Kendall Fuller too, so there's no veteran
Right.
presence in that secondary anymore. I guess Jeremy Chin. But
I do like
that's
Jeremy Chin, but he's a bit of a hybrid. So when you talk about like coverage, he's not. probably the best coverage guy. So I would agree in terms of just matching up in coverage. That's a concern. I think you're spot on there.
Yeah, secondary makes me nervous. I'm actually excited about the pass rush, honestly. You've got Payne, you've got Allen, you've got Newton now. You've got Frankie Louvu, who I think is going to pick up a little bit more edge duties than you think. I think a lot of people see Frankie Louvu and they see the amount of money we've given him and they see the years and they think that's our new Mike. Hold on. He made a name for himself in the league as a pass rusher. We brought in Bobby Wagner to obviously be that Mike figure. I think this year is going to be a shootout between Davis and Luvu for who's going to become that kind of standing up Micah Parsons esque figure on this defense, pass
That's a
rusher.
great point.
Obviously, not comparing him to Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is a freak, but fill that type of role, you know? So
Love
I
that.
think I think Luvu's going to be that guy for us. We also added McGee, who could be that way as well. He's
Yep.
a real athletic guy.
Yep.
But so that's what I'm most excited about
So
is
the
the front seven.
linebacker position is important on a football team. I'm
Yeah,
confused.
believe it or not, I think you got to check my math on this one. We added 6 linebackers just this year. I think that's more linebackers than Rivera added in his entire tenure in Washington. Check my
That's,
math on that. But I think that's more than he ever added. It's incredible.
and
But
he
yeah,
was a
turns out
linebacker.
so was Jack Del Rio.
Go
anyways,
figure.
anyways, let's get do you want to get into these bets, Pop?
Yeah, I like
I
it.
think we
I think
covered it, right?
I think we should. Yeah, no, I think I just had one more point related to the defense is that it feels like in order for that secondary to have some success, it's really going to mean that in that situation, guys that we think underperformed last year are really going to need to step up this year that are carrying over. So
God, I
what do they
wonder who
think
you
of
could be
Forbes
talking
Jr.?
about.
What do they think of Forbes Jr.? I'm talking about Forbes Jr., but also
Yep.
Ben St. Just, right?
Yep.
What are we're going to have to get some juice out of Juiced and Forbes, right? Like, see what I did there?
I like
Um,
that. I like that.
but I think those two guys are going to be keys in terms of how the staff can really coach them up. Yeah, we signed some free agents in that role too. We won't go into it now for the sake of time. We've talked about that again. Go back to the free agency pod.
Oh
Dominic
yeah.
did a fantastic job as always on that breakdown. But yeah, I think that secondary, it's going to be really interesting to see what they can get out of those returning guys, those returning players, especially in quarterback. So that was my
Yep.
bad. But yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Set up this next segment, son.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Let's do it. So, Bada bets. Post draft Bada bets. We're looking at some futures here. We're looking at some long lines. So, over under right now, the win total for the Commanders is set at 6.5. I believe this is the exact same place it was set last year, and we were all on here going, "What the hell are they talking about? There's just no way with as good as this team played last year with Taylor Heineke at quarterback. There's just no way that Howell, even if he's average, doesn't win at least 8, 9 games." And I think we both got on here and predicted 9 wins or 10 wins or what have you. But you know how that one ended up. Vegas is always right. This year they do favor um, the Commanders getting over that. So it's right now the lines that I have from DraftKings. I believe it's like 100 minus 120 for the over, and then like plus 105 for the under. So it is slightly favored that we're going to get over that. Vegas thinks we're going to win 7 games, essentially. Where are you at on that, Pop? Over under?
Of course, I'm smashing the over. You know
Yeah,
that. You know that. I'm optimistic that this team is a 7-8 win team. Maybe better. You never know. Lightning could strike. Maybe
yeah,
Jayden comes out on fire. Kingsbury's cooking with that offense and everything. Defense does some of the good things we talked about earlier in this pod. But I'm smashing you over. I mean, come on.
yeah.
How can you not be optimistic after the last 40 minutes you just heard here?
Yeah, I'm going over as well. I think this team reminds me a lot of the 2022 Jaguars. That first year after Urban Meyer left with Doug Peterson, veteran head coach, had been to a Super Bowl, been there before, young quarterback, a lot of feisty young pieces. I think this is a team you're going to want to see in September, October, rather than November, December. I think by the end of the year, it's going to evolve into a pretty tough out. And if I remember correctly, that Jaguars team won 9 games and a playoff game. So I'm not predicting all that, but I do think we get over 6.5.
Woo!
I'm not predicting all that. Let me be clear. All right, let's get to the rest of these lines here. We got Offensive Rookie of the Year, Caleb Williams, plus 210, Marvin Harrison, plus 600, Jayden Daniels, plus 1,000, J.J. McCarthy, plus 1,000, Malik Neighbors, plus 1,400. You got to lean there, Pop?
I'll go chalk. I'll go with Caleb. I don't even care whether Jayden wins it or not. It doesn't matter to me. I just
Yeah,
want him to play, have a really good season, continue to grow, continue to improve like he has the last couple of years. I won't make the homer pick there. I'll go Caleb Williams.
yeah,
Chalk. I think he's really set up for success in Chicago as well. I expect him to have a
definitely.
great year.
I'll be honest with the way the lines are set up. I would pick Jayden Daniels here. I think there's the best value.
For sure.
I'm
I'd put a
hype on
little
him
Scott
getting
Hall
there,
on Jayden too.
but
Little
I'm
Scott
gonna
Hall there. But I
officially
probably
put.
won't because I just worry about jinxing it. So to be
Yeah,
honest, I probably won't.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to make that my official pick for the
But
podcast.
it is good value.
I'm gonna go Marvin Harrison Jr.
Okay,
at
I
plus
like it.
600. I'm
I
gonna go
like it.
Marvin Harrison Jr. Even though I think I agree with you. To think gun to my head, it's Caleb Williams for sure. It's just not fun if we both pick the same guy. Jaden Daniels.
Who's throwing the
Oh,
ball to Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Kyler
Kyler
Murray.
Murray. Calamari. That's right.
It's time. I've been calling it
Calamari.
probably 3 years in a row. I've been calling for a Kyler Murray comeback on this podcast, and damn it, I'm sticking to it. It's time. It's time for Kyler to reinsert himself.
Let's do it. I like it.
Uh, it's my short brother, man. I gotta stick with him.
That's right.
Vertically challenged kings. Anyways, Jaden Daniels over 3,075 and a half passing yards, minus 112. I guess the under is plus 112. What do you got there, Pop?
No, they're both minus 112.
They're
So
both
basically,
minus 112,
yeah.
so you're just throwing money away. Okay, what do you got?
No, I'm high on Jade. I'll go over. I have no idea. It doesn't. Again, I think if he's multifaceted and be able to do it with his arms, legs. I think it. I'm going to do the homer pick and say over, but I do think this is going to be a run first offense, and I do think they're going to rely on play action. I'm not sure. I expect them to really be lighting it up from a yardage perspective. I know
Yeah,
3,000 yards isn't incredible. How much did Sam have this year? Yeah.
more than
Don't worry about
that.
looking it up. Don't worry about looking it up.
I
But
can get it in 2 seconds, but yeah, I think he had more than that. I don't
I'll
know.
look it up. You talk.
Yeah, 3,900 yards, but
Yeah.
that's because he was throwing the ball 200 times a game.
60 straight times or something.
Yeah, I'm
So
gonna
yeah,
take.
definitely over then. Definitely over. But I don't
Yeah,
again, I don't think we're gonna be judging Jaden by passing stats at the end of this. I think we're gonna be judging him more by how he runs the team. And and hopefully some big plays
yeah.
happening there. Yeah.
I'm going over because if you
Yeah.
divide that number by 17, it's 180 yards. Those are Taylor Heineke
Boy
numbers. I
doing
think.
math.
I think.
My art student doing math. Love
Look, when it comes down to sports betting, I get real mathy real
it.
fast. That's the one time I do math. But yeah, I'm definitely going over there. I think 180 yards. I think he's going to do more than that. I mean, he was averaging like 317 yards a game at LSU, and Cliff Kingsbury. I agree. I think we're going to run the football well. I think it'll be more balanced. But Cliff Kingsbury likes to throw the football. Let's not get it confused. And we didn't draft if we wanted to just be that run first team and have a game manager, we would have taken McCarthy. We didn't do that. We wanted the
I don't think you're
stud.
talking. I
We're
don't
going to
think you're
get the
talking
stud.
game manager, but I think they're gonna. I think it's gonna be more about run first to set up that big play, to set up that,
Yeah,
and then of course Jaden's gonna be dynamic and make some plays with his legs. So I think it's just, but they definitely need to be. You scare me now. They got to be disciplined here. They got to have a run threat so they can set up the play action, and they got to
definitely.
make the defense play 11 against 11. That's the keys to success. But I tell you what, Dom and Papa bringing it. Who expected a Bada bet section on a draft pod? Come
Yeah,
on now, people.
yeah. Boys got through it. But let's wrap this thing up. It's been a long one, bit of a
Lot of
marathon pod
fun.
here, but a lot of stuff to get through. A lot of fun. Only happens once a year that your team adds 10 new players, so you got to take a little bit of time to talk about it. But let's wrap this thing up, guys. Without further ado, I've been Dom,
This is Pop.
and thanks for another great week.